What are our thoughts on Priyanka Chopra and
Nick Jonas? I'm upset just because it's Nick Jonas and I love him.
Hey guys, Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel. I am here at the Wander Writers Retreat in Minneapolis, and joining me today to talk about beta readers is Holly Davis.
Hi!
Beta readers is a huge topic. We could talk about it forever, make multiple videos about it. I know a lot of people have talked about it on their channels. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on my channel. My process basically for betas in the past has been, I like to do 2 to 3 rounds. I start by sending the first chapter to my betas, and like if I think that their feedback's beneficial, then I'll keep them on. If I don't, I'll let them go. If they read it and they want to keep reading it and critiquing it, then they stay. If they don't, no hard feelings, they don't read anymore. Because honestly, it wouldn't be beneficial for me if they didn't like it and they were critiquing it or whatever. So kind of just let them go if that's what they want to do. And then from there, I start sending more chapters and I get them back. And I wait until that beta round is done before I start going through any of the feedback, and then kind of organize that and start going through it to make changes in my manuscript.
Same, yeah, I go through 2 to 3 rounds too. It just depends. Like my first manuscript, I like got to the 5th draft, but right now I'm just working on like the 2nd, 3rd drafts of my novel. Yeah, I usually send the whole manuscript to them, and you know, whether I get that feedback back in time is another story, but yeah. Usually I'm pretty patient.
Yeah. Are you ever worried sending your whole manuscript at once?
I never am. Like usually the people that I'm sending it to, I've either like been talking to them for a while or they like told me they had some interest in it, so I don't feel like I'm sending it to like quite a stranger.
Yeah,
so.
I know if it's like a beta reader that I've used in the past, I'll send them the full manuscript right away, whereas like people that I have never worked with in the past, I'll do batches of chapters just because like if it's someone who's not going to finish it, I don't want them having like a draft that is unpublished if like they're not really working on it, you know what I mean?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so, and then in the past, like I said, I've done like 2 to 3 beta rounds. It kind of just depends on the book. Like if after the 2nd round, I'm confident with it and ready to send it to my editor, then I'm not gonna waste the time with another round because it takes a lot of time. Yeah. And I try to do like between 8 to 10 beta readers per round because like it's inevitable. People are gonna drop off. People won't finish your book. And some people just don't offer great critiques, which like, it's fine. They're beta readers. They're not getting paid thousands of dollars to critique your work. It's just volunteers, so you can't really like get mad at free feedback, right? You know?
Yeah. Like I said, I usually go through 2 to 3 rounds, and the amount of betas I have has been like vastly different between the 3 manuscripts that I've sent out. Like anywhere between 3 to 7, like sending out the Celestial Code's 2nd draft, I had 7, which was the most I've ever had, and I've had as low as like 2. So about average like 3. I like to have at least 3 so that if like one person says one thing, one person says another thing, then I have like a tiebreaker.
That's a really good idea. I didn't even think of that. And it's really hard when you have like a ton to go through the feedback and to like keep track of where everyone's at, and especially if you're sending it in batches of chapters, it's just like, oh, so much work.
I can't imagine that. You're like, oh, I have like this much chapters from this person and like 1 from this one.
Yeah, for sure. And I try to give my readers at least a month to finish the book because I know people have lives. I'm not sending them my book and they're like, that's all they're working on every single day until it's done. So like I get it, and I've beta read in the past, so I'm like, I know that people need time to be able to read and offer critiques and like let me know how they feel and stuff like that. So, and I also in the past have had like small sets of questions that I put at the end of each chapter, and it's usually the same set of questions for each chapter, and then I have more like targeted specific questions at the end of the book that I want them to go through and answer, just so I can get more like specific feedback on things that I know I want feedback on. So I try to give them enough time to get through it and not feel rushed, because if they're rushed, they're not going to answer the questions, or they're going to do it in a way that's like not helpful at all. So I like to give them a lot of time.
Yeah, that's really smart. Like before, I used to give people like 2 months to work on feedback, but I found that like some people didn't even start like looking at it until the month was like, oh, I have 2 months, it's nothing. So this last time I gave them a month and got all 7 returned on time, so that was awesome. Some people may fall off, and that's usually what happened in the past, so this was like very rare for me. I told people at the beginning, like, oh, you know, kind of like what my weaknesses are, things to look out for, and just to let me know, because before I had really like bad talking head syndrome, so that was something. But and then I did give them like a beta reader worksheet that they could use, but I know some people just like to like give feedback in their own way, so I said you can use this if you want, you don't have to. I was pretty lax with that. And so most of my betas did track changes in Microsoft Word, and then they gave me like a summary at the end of the chapter, and then like when they sent me their feedback, then they gave me a summary of all of their feedback of like major points like in the email, so that was really helpful.
I think that's great that you're not saying I need you to do this, because like the worst thing is making it seem like you're giving them homework when you're asking them for such a huge favor to read your entire book and tell them like what they like, what they don't like, what should be changed, that kind of stuff. Like it's important to get the answers that you need to make your book better. That's the whole point, but it's also good that you're super like kind of chill about it.
Right, yeah. Because I want them to keep reading it. I want you to finish it.
Yeah. And then once I receive feedback, that's when like the real work happens, because when they have it, I mean, I'm sending them chapters, so that's work, but I'm not working on my manuscript, so it's a break from the writing. So I like to break down the chapters. I usually like make chapter notes on things, like if more than one beta mentions it as like a problem, then I'll like write it down to kind of address when I go through and do editing. So I like to break it down that way and take notes, like a lot of notes, depending on like how much stuff they're like, you need to change this or you need to change that. So it just depends on how much feedback I'm receiving for each chapter. That kind of depends on how much I'm going to be changing and making notes. And then I start going through my manuscript and making the changes, and I do that until it's done.
For me, like, because they gave me like big summaries of like the major things that they liked and things that they felt I could work on, like in the email, then I kind of had like a summary of their feedback, but I still went through the whole manuscript like for everyone's feedback and just made sure that there wasn't anything that I had missed. And so like then I just typed those out and then printed all of their feedback out and just kind of went through and like tried to answer questions that they had, or said, okay, how can I address this? And then go through each chapter. Sometimes I'll like skip around and just do like, oh, this is something quick I can fix, and then something that might require like a rewrite or like, you know, kind of more work, then I'll do that a little bit later, because I'm like, that's more work. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's really important that when you're going through all your feedback, you need to remember that beta feedback, like you have to know when to take it and when to leave it. Like if it's just one beta who's saying, oh, I really don't like this character, or I don't like this subplot or whatever, but all your other betas are like, oh, I really like how you're doing this, or you feel really strongly about it, like that's just their opinion. Don't change your story and make it not yours. Like you need to remember and write your story for you before you're writing it for anyone else. Just have to remember, like, you don't have to change anything. It's not like your publisher's editor saying, this needs to be changed, you can't do this, you need to do this instead, that sort of thing. However, if like a beta brings up like a legitimate reason of why something doesn't work, you might want to listen. Like even if it sucks and you're like, oh, I really like that, but yeah, I kind of see where they're coming from. You kind of gotta listen to your head over your heart, depending on what it is, and consider making the change. Like if it's really that important to the story, it's kill your darlings. Sometimes it's hard. It's really hard. But and it's funny, like we're making this video talking about beta readers. I've actually like considered it a lot, and I think that for my next book, I mean, I guess depending on what it is, I've kind of decided to forego the beta round. And I know some of my author friends, they think that that's like the betas are super, super important, and I have other friends that are like, yeah, I don't do it. So like I totally understand why you're not doing it. For me, like it's just, it takes up so much time, and in the future I've gotten like a lot of good feedback, but overall I don't think it's a big enough benefit for me to like not waste the month, but use that whole month to be waiting on feedback that may or may not be beneficial. And I think that I have enough like friends who are writers that I can swap books with, like ask them to critique it and be like, when you need your next book critique, like please send it to me, I want to return the favor. So I think I have enough sources that I can get critiques from that I know are going to help me and that I know are not credible, but they're going to be beneficial, that I can kind of say sayonara to strangers reading my work and me not knowing if I'm gonna get good feedback.
I feel like if you like have those trusted CPs and then you know that they're gonna like give you legit feedback and maybe your experiences with beta so far, like maybe they're not bringing up anything new that they're not catching, then that, you know, makes sense.
For sure.
And yeah, streamlining the process. So, you know, you saying the whole kill your darlings thing, that's like what I was struggling with this week, and realizing that like I like really loved this scene, but I'm like, it's pointless, but I just love it so much. I'm like, well, maybe I can use it like in the next book or something and actually make it where it means something. So, but anyways, that's where, you know, I've been struggling recently. As far as talking about the tiebreaker person, I know that out of like the 7 betas I had for the Celestial Code's second draft, 1.5 people had mentioned me like rewriting the first couple chapters. Like they thought that the inciting incident could happen a little bit sooner. And so it was only like, you know, 2 people. Like one person was like, oh, there was something off about the pacing, but I couldn't really. And the other person was like, just throw out the first 3 chapters. And I was like, oh, well, like, oh, you know, is this legitimate? So I looked at it and I was like, you know what? Like that makes a lot of sense. And what I've rewritten so far, I'm like, this is a lot better. So, you know, you need to look and see, like, does it make sense for you? Even if one person said it, you know, just look and see if it's something that you should change.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree. Why don't you tell us what you're currently working on and where people can find you?
Yeah, so I am working on the Celestial Code, which is a YA urban fantasy. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at WriteHollyDavis.
But that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Holly, for joining me today.
Thank you.
I will leave all her links down below, so you should definitely check her out and subscribe to her AuthorTube channel because she makes really awesome videos.
Thank you. Aww.
And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel on your way out. If you're new here, I post new writing related videos every Friday, and if there's something you would like me to make a video about, please feel free to leave a comment down below or tweet me. All my social media information is down below, including my author website. If you're interested in reading my books or would like more information about them, you can visit any of the links down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday. Bye!
Bye!